This is the Startupsdilse podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Do us a favor, like, subscribe on YouTube or LinkedIn, and be sure to give us your feedback. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, welcome everyone for another episode of Startupsdilse. I'm Riddhi Gore, your co-host alongside Anthony Prakash, and today we welcome Ram here, who's the founder for WealthUpp and the CEO of Crore. Ram, why don't you kick us off with an introduction and a background about yourself?
Hi, Anthony, and hi, Riddhi. First of all, thank you for taking time and inviting me to your podcast. So, my name is Ram Tulluri. I'm the CEO of Swiss Infotech, and I'll basically be talking about WealthUpp and what that is as a byproduct of Swiss Infotech. So before that, my background, I am a graduate of IIT Madras, and right after that, I went to the US and I did my master's. And I worked in Wall Street for about 15 years, so mainly in the financial industry. Worked in in Goldman Sachs for about 10 years as a vice president on the technology side. And it so happened that I was more involved in the financial aspects of Goldman, I mean technology. So I was part of a surveillance team which has to do with surveilling a lot of the trades that happen, and the trades coming from different types of instruments and products. So I kind of got a very in-depth knowledge of what these instruments are, what are the different products out there in the financial market. So that led me to a lot of domain knowledge. And around, I would say, 2009, I migrated back to India. So since then I have started this company, Swiss Infotech, and it's already been about 15 years now. And part of that journey, we have done service various clients, mainly in the financial domain. And that's how I happen to know of Anthony as well. So apart from that, I mean, because of my background and domain knowledge in financial domain, so I ended up doing, always trying to come up with some product, innovative products for in the financial domain, and WealthUpp is one of them. And I'll be talking more about what that is.
I must say, Ram, after 15 years in Wall Street, you still have all your hair intact, so pretty commendable.
Thank you.
Let's maybe touch upon Wall Street experience and what you did after that, Ram. I mean, why obviously Wall Street is super exciting, at the same time, very stressful, as a lot of people say. What made you actually roll up your sleeves and say, okay, I mean, I've done enough in the US. Let's move back to India and start your own gig. Why the entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think it has two main reasons. One is my family reason, which is my dad was kind of going through some kind of Parkinson's kind of issues at that time. And, we are two brothers. My elder brother also lives in the US. So I'm the younger one. So it was easier for me to come back to India and take care of my family. So that was one main reason, and that's the driver, because my mom was alone, and it's very tough to take care of somebody who's going through, mental issues. So that is one. I think I thought when I come back, I didn't want to work for somebody again. I mean, I have gone through a lot of that in the Wall Street. So I wanted to start something on my own, and so that's why I thought, okay, why not? Being a technologist, the first thing you do is start a technology firm. So it's a development center in India. So we do service a lot of clients in US and UK as well. So that's how it started.
And all of your India operations is based out of Hyderabad, right, Ram? I mean, or do you have more
That's
people anywhere else?
no. Most of the development happens in Hyderabad. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do have consultants who work all over India. So, but mainly India based. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So, I mean, we are here to obviously double click on WealthUpp. WealthUpp is a brand new offering coming out of your wealth of experience in the financial industry. And why don't we speak about WealthUpp? I mean, your new initiative, which you've probably unwrapped very slowly, right? I mean, I think there are a few pilot users on it. But why don't you tell the audience about what WealthUpp is and what do you intend people to use it for, and how can they benefit out of it?
Yeah, definitely. So WealthUpp is a product of Swiss Infotech, and this is something we have been working on since last 2 years. It's an app. Basically, the main mantra of WealthUpp is to grow your wealth one small investment a day. So I think that says a lot. But I think mainly the idea is to help anybody, like a common person, to be able to invest in Indian market. And if you look at the what's happening in India for the past 20 years, right? There's a tremendous growth in India, especially when you look at the GDP itself, and it has grown from $2.3 trillion to $3.5 trillion in the last 15 years, and that's actually translated into financial market as well. If you look at the Nifty 50 index, which is similar to what you have in Dow Jones in US, right? If you look at it, that index grew from 2,500 in 2008 time period to 25,000 now. So it's about 800% hike. And there's a lot of people made money on it, and a lot of people lost also in doing the wrong type of investment. But the thing is that this growth is just not reflective of the index itself. But you see that if you have come to India 15 years back and you saw India now, it's a huge difference in terms of infrastructure, in terms of healthcare, in terms of airports, roads, and a lot of stuff that's different from what you have seen 20 years back in India. And that's a reflective of what is happening in India in terms of investment that's getting in, how the industries are growing, and that the GDP also reflects that point, right? So, but if you look at that opportunity within that 15, 20 years of opportunity, that you don't see too many Indians actually investing into Indian market. I mean, if you just statistically speaking, if only 5% of Indians actually have invested in the past 15 years, and the 95% are left out in a way because they don't know how to invest, what to invest in, when to invest in, and even things like why they should invest. I mean, most of the time, people put into FDs, which are fixed deposits in banks, and they are happy with 5, maybe 6% returns on them. But they think that, again, even people who are aware of this financial, opportunities, they feel that it's too risky, or they might not be even knowledgeable to do that. I mean, there are people who have good disposable income, and they do get advice from financial advisors, and they do invest. But again, that's a very small percentage, right? So if that opportunity was there, I mean, just to give you numbers, right? If somebody had invested, let's say, 100 rupees per day since past 15 years, every day, right? Forgetting about market ups and downs, ignoring all those things, they would have ended up with about a crore rupee in their bank, right? That's the wealth that they could have accumulated. It's a simple thing. I mean, it's a strategy that's well, age old strategy, well proven, low risk strategy, which is, just to put $100 rupees a month, sorry, per day, and your wealth will grow, because if financial markets are growing at that speed, you would accumulate that much. That's an opportunity that was there 15 years, in the past 15 years, and people didn't take advantage. But if you look at what is happening in the next 20 years, right, that the projections are, right now India is fifth largest economy, and it's projected to be going to third largest economy in maybe by 2050. So that actually means that the GDP will grow from 3.5 trillion to about 25 trillion. So now look at the what is the impact on financial markets because of that. I mean, it'll be a tremendous impact compared to, forget about what happened in the last 15 years, right? I mean, this growth that you'll see in the next 20 years will be even, larger. And again, you see who's going to benefit from there are all the business people who are investing from outside, people who have good disposable income and good advisors advising on how to invest. But again, the 95% will be left out. So if somebody who's working, let's say, about 50,000, 1 lakh per month salary, right? I mean, around that, which is majority of Indians do. So they'll be where they are. I mean, they won't see too much growth in their financial situation, except that maybe there'll be more jobs, and there will be, more pay, because adjusted to inflation. They will see that there'll be raises in pay, the pay scale, but the savings and the wealth accumulation won't happen. it'll be like somebody who has been, even if you take somebody who has been earning, let's say teacher, right, 30,000 rupees, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have accumulated a crore rupee in the last 15 years, although they had an opportunity to do that, right? So looking at what is the potential that we are looking at for the next 20 years, again, that opportunity needs to be tapped in certain way, in some way. And Wealth Up actually helps you do that. So now you understand the opportunity. So now if you look at what are the ways that we can tap into that, harness that opportunity, is obviously somebody who is very good at investing in stocks and options and any other instruments. I mean, you need to be an expert. You need to be really good at it. You need to be on top of it every day. So it's pretty risky as well, right? I mean, coming from a financial domain, again, my government experience tells me what I've seen throughout my 30 years in financial industry, that people really whoever makes it are pretty good, but again, they go through a lot of stress, and a lot of people actually end up losing as well in playing all these games, right? It's But I mean, apart from all the financial what to say institutions, right? They make good money, but I think general common man, I mean, who is into stocks and options, usually it's very tough. I mean, if you ask somebody, have they made about 15 or 1 crore in the last 15 years by investing in stocks, you won't find too many people, right? Because that's not the right way for majority of us. So now, what is the other option you have? I mean, the other option is, again, you have to go to a financial advisor and find out what is the best way to invest. But again, your financial advisors don't advise people who have less disposable income, right? Unless you have good amount of money, they don't cater to them. So the third option is obviously other way of investing, things like in India we call it SIP, which is a systematic investment plan, which is to invest about maybe 10,000, 15,000, depending on what your salaries are. Basically, is you can invest that. But then that SIP is done on a monthly basis. It expects that you have that money in the first week of the month or in a particular day of a month, and you expect that that investment will happen in the right timing, because market could be up or down. It doesn't matter. So it has to happen on first of a month. It has to happen. Doesn't matter which, whether market is up or down. So there's a risk involved in putting a bulk of money on one time, once a month. So that's something that, you know it's not the right or the best way to invest, right? So now what WealthUp does is it has this strategy called Clear is nothing but consistency. Stands for consistent, L stands for low entry, E stands for efficient, A stands for automated, completely automated, and R stands for risk adjusted. So I'll explain what this means as a strategy, and then I'll explain what WealthUp does to implement this strategy, right? So consistent means, the again, I was saying, the mantra is invest daily, right? Invest small amounts daily and consistently, right? So every day you take 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 300 rupees, whatever you can afford to, and put that amount and be consistent in doing that, right? So then low entry, as I was saying, like you don't need to have a huge amount of money to get into market and benefit from growing your wealth, because you have the opportunity now. So you don't need to have 10,000 rupees, right? You can maybe have 200 rupees on a day. I mean, that's equivalent to maybe like having a breakfast in India. I mean, you can get chai, coffee, and some small snack for 200 rupees now. I mean, that's what people use, I mean, spend on that. So that much money you can spend on your savings as well. So we have, the mantra here is to think of your savings as an expense as well, right? Which is a small amount on a daily basis. So that's a low entry. So you don't have to have too much money to be get into investing and growing your wealth, right? And the next thing is efficiency. So because you are putting on a daily basis, it doesn't matter whether stocks has gone up or down for the day. Market is down. If you look at last week, I mean, the whole world has gone through a cycle of dip, but it doesn't matter. You're investing and buying into the dip. And if the market has gone up, okay, it doesn't matter, because your investment is small and you're growing your money by putting some more money. So your efficiency in that in investing is pretty much in there if you're doing a daily investment. And automation, I mean, what we have done with WealthUp is that once you're onboarded, the customer doesn't have to do anything. It's completely automated. There's a concept of e-mandate in India. I think it's pretty much there for you guys as well, I guess, in the US. E-mandate basically lets the banks take a mandate from the customer, letting vendors, take pay. For example, Google Pay might get an invoice, it gets automatically get paid, things like that, right? So similarly, you can have an e-mandate for investment as well. So that is the automation, and then I'll talk more about automation as well. And the last one, R, stands for risk adjusted. So it's adjusted to the customer risk profile based on how much their risk they can take, and whether they're taking high risk or medium risk or low risk. The app does adjust itself to what their risk levels are, and then invest in the right way. So that is the whole idea. That's a clear strategy, we call it, right? And I can take any questions you have if you have any, or I can just move on to how WealthUp actually implements this clear strategy.
I'm curious to hear about how it implements.
No, I do have a question though. so,
Sure.
so Ram, I mean, first of all, just to summarize WealthUp for everyone, right? I mean, WealthUp is a brand new app where you can take small amounts of money. Like you said, it could be 100, whatever you can afford. It could be as small as 100 rupees per day. Invest through the app consistently in the Indian market, and that could be that part is essentially managed by WealthUp to say, whether it's going to be in mutual funds or stocks. I mean, you have a default way by which you can divide that money or invest that money rather, or they can choose to do that. I'm assuming like
Yeah.
much like 401k, that sort of thing. And your approach with the clear framework and methodology is that, I mean, okay, consistently invest over a long period of time. The GDP is growing, the spending power is growing, India as a country is growing. So there's a really good chance that, I mean, all this money that you're investing is gonna be directly proportional to that growth as well. And 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, you're going to be sitting on a good chunk of money, which you've not really planned for right now. You don't have to make big risky bets, hence the approach of, small, tiny droplets, if you will, which will make that big pond or lake, or in this case, ocean, as you're selling it, right? So, did I summarize that right, Ram?
Yeah, that is true. I think so. The idea here is that to invest small, and people who are just started to work, maybe if somebody who's 25 years old, within 20 years, they might have about 2 crores or 3 crores in their hand if this kind of strategic investment. And that's something that with small amounts, you are not going to be in that position if you didn't do that, right? So or that could be used for when they have their kids. In India, marriage and education are two things that people, I think that's true for the rest of the world as well. But I think you in India, marriage and education are the most expense items in the financial planning. So when people are about 40 years or 45, you need to have that much money or saved up. So if somebody's starting around 25, just got married, and this is the right time to do that, I mean, keep that as a long term savings plan or a strategy. It doesn't have to be the only strategy, but it could be that this is one of the strategies of best low risk strategy that you can do. And somebody who's in 40, I mean, they want to retire by the time they're 60 with about 2 3 crores in their hand. And again, this is a strategy, right? If not, they would not have that kind of money in there when they retire, right? So again, this is not to buy a car or buy a house, right? That's not what we are looking at. So this is the strategy. I mean, obviously, if you want to invest more, maybe 1,000 rupees a day, and then it's a different thing. I mean, you could actually gain more, I mean, within shorter time. But somebody who wants to can dispose of only like few hundreds a day, and this is a strategy which is a long term strategy, right? So again, I think India is I mean, if you don't do that in some format, that the If you're not investing into India, then you will be left out. I mean, India will grow, but you're not going to be part of it, right? So that's a very strong message, because you will be where you are, but you'll see that India has grown. I mean, yeah, that's that financial inclusion is very important, and this is one way to do that. Even if you look at what is happening here in India, is that the government itself is encouraging people to invest, especially in mutual funds, and you see ads about it all the time. So, and they're doing it because they want people to be involved in this and included in this financial growth. So uh, what WealthUpp does is to enable that, right, in a very smart and automated way. I'll just move on to how WealthUpp implements this strategy then. Um, so clear strategy. So first thing is, when you're onboarded into WealthUpp, you there's a KYC process, which basically, there are a lot of regulations in India now for investing, which are pretty good. I mean, it has streamlined. There are a lot of technologies, platforms which have come up, which enable a lot of electronic investment and KYC checks and everything. So in WealthUpp, within 15-20 minutes, somebody could be onboarded. The KYC could be validated in 15 minutes, and they'll be an investor in India in 15 minutes, right? So that is a huge thing. I mean, this kind of technology integration is not there maybe 2-3 years back. Now it is. So what WealthUpp does is to use that integrations. I mean, there are government agencies which help us do that, and there are other private platforms which are integrated to do that. So within 15-20 minutes, you're onboarded and your KYC is done. You're ready to invest, and you don't have to, as a customer, you don't have to do anything else in WealthUpp. WealthUpp, basically, when you're onboarding, it asks you how much do you want to invest on a daily basis or a weekly basis. You can pick your number of days that you want to invest, or it could be monthly, 3-4 times in a month, per particular days. You could do all that, right? I'll show you in a demo. So once you have configured that, then there's two options. One is that completely auto managed, which basically means that WealthUpp has tied up with investment advisors who advise WealthUpp on what are the best mutual funds on a given period. And basically, the daily amount is then will be distributed into those funds, uh, based on the customer risk profile. And by default, the customers all customers set to medium risk profile, but they can change it. And based on the risk profile, the funds get bought. And the good thing about WealthUpp in terms of security is that the mandates that we take, the e-mandate, to take the payment, is a payment mandate which the bank gives only for the purchase of mutual funds on behalf of the customer, whose bank, the mutual funds are bought on behalf of the customer's name, which matches the bank account name. So what it means is, the mandate cannot be used for anything else, even to buy stocks. I mean, WealthUpp is not to buy stocks, only mutual funds. It invests only in mutual funds. So the money goes directly from the bank to the mutual fund companies. They are called asset management companies, which are like ICICs, HDFCs, and all those guys who actually sell the mutual funds. The money goes directly from the bank to the mutual fund companies to buy a particular mutual fund. So what WealthUp is doing is just initiating the transaction, just saying, this customer needs to buy 200 rupees worth of mutual funds of this particular mutual fund. And this is the AMC, which is the mutual fund company, send the money. So the money gets transferred directly. There's no middleman. There's no wallet here. Money is not kept anywhere for later purchases. It's just money gets directly transferred immediately to the mutual fund company. Obviously, the mutual fund company might take about 1 to 2 days to fulfill the order, and get the notification that it has done it. Um, Even mutual fund companies actually directly email the customer once the purchase has been done. So the complete transparency, and it's very straightforward. And as I was saying, like, WealthUp is just an integrator or an engine which basically enables this whole process, it automation, but it doesn't involve in selling mutual funds or involved in any way handling your the customer money, right? So that's the security feature right here. So now, as I was saying, like, once the onboarding is done, automatically every day, whatever the customer has enabled as the daily investment, that investment gets into various mutual funds based on the risk profile on a daily basis, right? So that is what the auto managed. And if the customer chooses to say, okay, I know what I have to invest in which mutual funds, and they can choose to do that too. And one of the great what is this algorithm that we have come up with, which will be very unique, and we want to patent it as well. We are going through the process for that. Is that taking a small amount like 100 rupees and 200 rupees and be able to distribute across various funds, risk managed, risk adjusted funds, is the challenge, right? For example, if I give you 10 lakhs and I say put it 50% in high risk, 30% in medium risk, and 20% in low risk, it's very easy. You'll put 5 lakhs in here, 3 lakhs in here, 2 lakhs in here, right? But if I'm taking small amounts on a daily basis and still be able to make sure that your risk is adjusted, profile is adjusted according to your investment, that's very challenging. So that's what that there's an algorithm that we came up with, which basically ensures that by end of maybe certain time, that you're on a daily basis, the algorithm will look at to see what is the best fund to invest in, and also how to invest, making sure that your risk profile is intact, right? So although you're doing a small investment, the same thing with your self-managed, which is basically you pick your own mutual funds. You say that in first fund one you want to invest 30%, fund two 50%, fund three 20%, and again the engine will make sure that the distribution of your funds on a daily basis are adhering to that percentages, although you're doing only small investment. And the good thing, what happened in India in the last, I would say, 2 years, is that even you can buy a mutual fund for about 100 rupees, right? The fund value might be, the price of the fund might be about 50 rupees. So you get two units, right? So before that, they were like, your minimum amount was 5,000 rupees. So obviously, it's you can do much with it with 100 rupees. So now there are a lot of funds which are even for 100 rupees. There are funds which are 200 rupees, the funds which are 500,000. So you based on how much you are investing, your daily investment is, the engine will determine which is the fund that it has to invest, right? So it's completely automated, so you're hands free. I mean, you don't have to go to the app every day. You get WhatsApp notifications, you get emails, and what's happening, you get emails on your daily report and activity, what is happening. And obviously you get emails from the AMC companies as well on what purchases have been done on behalf of you. So all this is automated. So even for a sophisticated customer, they can pick their own funds and all this stuff, right? Any questions? I mean, I'll talk more, but let me open up for questions now.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Ram, so like I think this is you're going after the safety too, right? With the mutual funds, right? That it's all safe, it's all on the safer side, it's not high risk compared to the stocks. Like growing up in India, I know savings was definitely rooted in, investing was never. So I would think the biggest hurdle is even educating people about like what investment and wealth building means, not just saving. So how are you trying to overcome that, right? So I get that this is the aggregator, but even to bring people to that platform where they can go and do this, and how does that value? So how's that education being?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question. I think I was saying before, I think a lot of people don't know why they have to invest. So once they cross why, there's what and how and when and things like that. But why is the question? But I think it's all about educating. As I was saying, I think I'll tell you one example. My gardener who makes about 40,000. I mean, he makes 40,000. Believe me, he works in 10, 20 houses, and he makes money. He works very hard. And I was just talking to him a few days back, and I told him, I mean, you work so much. I mean, how much have you accumulated in terms of your wealth? And he has not much balance, right? And he keeps asking me to borrow some money from me. So I was telling him, okay, if you invest 100 rupees a day in 20s, he's about 40 years old now, and in 20 years you will have about a crore rupees. Is that interesting proposition to you? So he was very excited. I think it's about explaining them opportunity. And believe me, he was here in my office yesterday to get onboarded. So I think the thing is that they have to understand the concept of compounding interest, compounding returns, and that's something that has to be educated at a for somebody like who's not, he doesn't know anything about stocks, he doesn't know anything about financial markets, nothing. But the moment I explained to him, it just took me 5-10 minutes to say what his wealth could be, right? Otherwise, there's no way that he'll have a crore rupee in his hand when he's 60. There's no way, right? So obviously he has some lands and all this stuff in his village, but that's different, right? Hard cash, having 1 crore in your hand when you're 60 is a big deal in India. So that's with 100 rupees a day. He is like, okay, I eat 100 rupees a day, I spend 200 rupees, but it's something, I mean, we don't know how it goes out, right? It gets spent every day. So for me, to save 100 rupees a day is not a big deal. And if you are saying that it's going to give me a crore in 20 years from now, he was on board. So that's the thing. I think that's a message that has to be given, and it has to be educated in that way. But I think people have to understand the opportunity first, and strategies, or whether they go with WealthUpp or any other thing. But people investing into financial markets in India is the right thing to do as of now, and doing it in safe way, and doing using WealthUpp is one of the, I would say, a better alternative that we have in India right now. So I think it's a, yeah, I think really basically it's all educating people. I think I'll tell you, I was talking to a teachers group, and teachers make about 40,000 or 50,000 per month. And it didn't take me much time to convince a group of teachers, because they're quite well educated. They understand that they need to invest, but they don't know how to invest, right? So there are segments of target customers who don't know why, and there are segments who know why but they don't know how. So I need to dig in, and come up with different messages for different sectors of these customers. And that's the challenge, but I think that's what we are trying to put our whole marketing strategy around that.
If I'm not wrong, Ram, I mean, even for the blue collar crowd, right? I mean, your gardener or anyone in that sort of occupation. I mean, there used to be this concept, or maybe still is, the whole concept of chit funds and all that in India, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of them end up being bad stories, sad stories, right? Than the good stories. I mean, in a way, you're cutting the middleman out, giving them the power to do what you want. I mean, in this particular case, you have the strategy. It is no low risk as well, and then it's a consistent investment. So
Yeah.
maybe you're drawing parallels to that particular model, but I mean, in a way, they are fully in control and not trusting a middleman who might run away with that money, right?
You're right. Yeah, right. Yeah, chit funds is something, as you rightly indicated, it's a big concept in India, and a lot of blue collar people do that. I think it's, as you indicated, it's there are risks involved, but the intention of putting something into chit fund is different. It's for short term, as gain of. It's not wealth actually. It's basically access to a chunk of money
Yeah,
for such short-term usage. For example, if somebody wants, say, I need 10 lakhs to buy something, bike or something, right? So then they will say, okay, I'll put into chit fund, I'll get that money at a discounted rate, and then use it. So it's not really a wealth accumulating
makes
strategy
sense.
or process, but it's mainly for you're covering your needs, financial needs. So for short term, right? But what we are saying is, long term. I think the idea is to, assuming that India will grow, idea is to be making this, everybody be part of it, and in a very low risk way. I think mutual funds is why we chose the path to go with. Um, so again, it's long term, keeping that in mind. I always tell my customers that we have, believe me, customers from gardener to pujari, to people who are earning, putting about 1,000 rupees a day into WealthUpp. So they are, I'm getting my IIT folks also, professors and people like that also be part of this. So there are, as I speak to more people, I mean, there are a lot of people not investing because they don't know too much about investing. So they are quite excited. I think for me, as I told you, like different target customers, I need to have different messages.
Yeah.
But somebody need to be understood about what investment is all about and what the benefits. And somebody knows about investing, but they don't know how to do it. So it's different segments of customers that we need to address. Yeah.
I think
So,
Ram, it's sorry, Rudy, go ahead.
oh, thank you. So like, moving forward, right? This is live when people start investing. So it's a great flexible option they have, right? Limit, you can invest a small amount. Can they go up and down anytime? Saying, I feel, pretty strong through the months. I can invest more and then bring it down during like holiday season or if there are things. But then eventually, is it where they have to keep it at the term of things, or it just depends on the mutual funds they invested in? Or how does that wealth return look like in their journey?
So you think, how long do you want? Should they keep? Is
Yeah.
that?
How long do they keep on? What does that typical path look like for them?
Yeah. I think, see, it it's basically the if you look at the strategy of investing compounding interest and compounding returns strategy. If you cross the 1 crore, right, the mark, the time that it takes to accumulate 1 crore, let's say it takes about 10 years. The time to accumulate the next 1 crore will take only maybe 7 years. The time to accumulate the next third 1 crore will be, maybe 3 years. So because the first 1 crore is helping you to into your next 1 crore quite faster. So it's up to them. But what I suggest them is keep that as a 20-year period. Don't
Mhm.
dip into this wealth, uh, and then try to use it up for regular expenses. Keep that as something that you can use it for your milestones. The milestones could be, as I was saying, children's education or marriage or your retirement. Keep that as the thing, and don't try to start dipping into this pool of money. So again, the reason I'm saying 20 years is that the multiplication that happens after the 15 years when you have 1 crore. I mean, usually if you go with about 100 rupees or 200 rupees a day for 15 years, you'll reach 1 crore about 1.5 crores by the time you're 15. And then you'll see the growth from 15 to 20 explode like anything, because every year you'll accumulate about 25 lakhs from 15th, because once you have started about 1.5 crores. So that is the thing, that potential that they have to look into, because if you take money out from your pool there, that growth you won't see again. So by the time, if you're investing about 200 rupees, by the time it is 20 years, you could really make about 2.5 crores. That potential will come only if you don't take anything from your pool and keep that as for your long term milestones.
That's actually great, right? Because that gives a good future vision for people to go invest in. And you spoke about like how quick things are to validate who the person is coming in, when they can invest. You have good mutual funds and that. So talking about just security, right? Like people are investing their hard-earned money. How and what guardrails do you have in place, or you're planning to put in place around these?
A good question. So, see, one thing is, I was saying before, the mandate that we take is exclusively for buying mutual funds, exclusively for the person whose bank name is on. So you cannot be taking money from one bank account and buying it on different person's name. The mutual fund will be allocated only on the person where the money is coming from. So for example, you cannot have your wife buy you mutual funds in India. I mean, I don't know how it is in the US, but the money has to go from your name. That's when it'll be allocated to you. So it cannot be allocated on anybody else's name. So first thing, so means that the money is not going anywhere, and the bank mandate that we take is only for the purchase of mutual funds. It can be bought, it can be taken for buying stocks or options or anything else, just for mutual funds. And again, I'm saying it's just for on your name. So first thing, there's no risk of money getting diverted to any other way, right? It has to be from the bank to the mutual fund company for the purchase of mutual funds on behalf of the bank holder's name. So that is very clear. So second thing is, okay, the data itself that we have, we are just initiating all these transactions. So we don't have to we do keep records of all the mutual funds or purchases that happen through our app. But again, this data is reflective of what is in the market. Well, each AMC maintains their own records of customers data. So it's not like there's a data loss or data corruption. It doesn't happen on our end. It's basically, obviously, it's all encrypted with users mpin and their user id. Um, but it's just our data is just a reflective of what is out there. So even if they get out of the app for some reason, they don't want to use the app, they can always go to the AMC or the asset management company, look at, they put their PAN number, which is basically similar to your social security number, and be able to see all the mutual funds which are purchased through not just WealthUpp, but any other instruments, any other platforms they have used to buy, right? So it's completely transparent in that way, and we are just you know keeping the data only to, so that we can show that in the app, but we are not the owners of the data, right? Um, so even if the app doesn't exist, that data is there with AMCs, right? It has nothing to do with us. So we are just a initiator of the transaction. So as I was saying, I think money is completely secured. The transactions are completely encrypted on our side, and the access to the app itself is two-factor authenticated. So somebody who just comes in, you need to have their your phone number and an mpin and an otp, so it comes to their email or phone number or phone. So it's secured that way. And you know nobody can initiate a transaction on somebody's name unless they have access to their mpin and otp. So that's completely secure. So again, we use very strict encryptions. So data in customer data in our database can be even seen by our own admin people. So it'll be all encrypted with the mpin of the user. So that level of encryption is there.
Ram, I think you've teased us enough with Wealth. It's time to show Wealth Up to the world and maybe give us a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so let me know once you see my screen. This is WealthUpp.
We do.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just logging in with my MPIN. So I'm showing my portfolio, and I've been investing since uh, last 4 months or so, because the app has been in full functionality since 4 months. So I started with about 300 rupees per day, but now I'm putting about 600. So I do want to invest in WealthUpp, and we do have about around 1,000 customers right now. Again, they come from all walks of life, from teachers to professors to gardeners and pujaris. So, and what you can see here, it just shows you your portfolio. That's my portfolio value, 74,000, and this is the gain that I got, about 3,400 rupees in last 4 months. And this number shows you what is pending, which is today the transaction for 600 rupees has been initiated. This is the money that was sent to AMC, which is the asset management companies, and they have not yet allocated me the funds. And this is the total investment, which is completely allocated funds to me. And if I have to see my funds, I can look at my funds here. Let me sort by gains, and so you can see what my portfolio looks like, with quite a diversified portfolio, with different gains from different funds, right? How many units I have in each of this fund, how much value I have, how much did I buy it for, average price I bought it for, what is the current value, and all this stuff, right? So I'll just show you one very interesting thing, which when I go to my daily plan, right? This is where I actually put in my 600 rupees. I can change it anytime. I can make it 200. So, and I can say, okay, I don't want to do every day of a week. I want to maybe do, not do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, could do that too, right? I can just by one click, I can disable my investment. If I just click on this, it'll disable my investment, and then no more money will be taken from me going forward, right? Just one click. So if the user says, okay, I don't want to invest for next 1 week, he can just come or she can come and then click on this, disable it, and then they can come back and enable when they want, right? So, so as I was saying, you can change your daily investment anytime you want, and you can also shift your monthly plan as well. So I can say if I want to invest 1500 every first of the month, or I can say in additionally I can do every 18th of the month, or you can put any number, like you can say I want to do for every 26th of the month. So I can pick and dates and amount that I want to invest in each of those days, right? So we call it monthly, but it actually is, more frequently than just monthly, right?
Hmm.
So you could do all that. So now if I come to my strategies, right, I was saying before, like right now I'm self-managed. I'm actually investing in three funds, right? I have Axis Bank mid cap fund about 50%, HDFC balance about 20%, and I have one more fund which is opportunity fund which is 30%. So even though I'm putting 600 rupees, my algorithm will decide how the 600 rupees need to be split across these funds. Obviously, it won't buy all three of them on a given day, but it might buy two of them on a given day. Maybe tomorrow it'll do this something else. But what it does eventually is that it catches up with these percentages, right? It knows that this is my intention, 50, 20, 30, and it ensures that eventually it catches up with that. So every day it's make a decision, like how much money it has to put into each. So imagine if you had to do that manually, and you have to do, if this is what how you want to distribute your small amounts into these kind of percentages across these funds, it's not an easy exercise, right?
Hmm.
And the other thing is your automated auto manage, which is, you can have high risk funds. I can say 50%. So this is all defaults. So by default everybody is set to medium risk. So 25% high funds and 50% medium funds and 25% here. And what are those funds? If you come here, they can see the high risk funds are these, the medium risk funds are these, the low risk funds are this, right? This is the fund list. Every day engine will look at what is the best fund that is out in the market, and based on where their what is the capacity. For example, if somebody puts 100 rupees, then it picks this fund or one of the other funds and then invest in there, right? So minimum invest purchase is what it looks at, and also looks at, what is the best fund for that day that it has to pick in the high risk. Right, so that does that determination on a daily basis. Um, so okay, let me go back here to my strategy. So other than that, one more interesting thing that we have done is you can build your own custom strategy. For example, I could say that I want to define my custom risk profile as I want to put 65% in this, or maybe 60% in this, and maybe 20% in this, and 20% in this, right? I could define my own. You don't have to go with the presets. So the engine will ensure that these percentages are, matched up eventually when it's investing. Every day it's, make sure that, we are closer to these percentages, right? When it's putting the money in. So that's called auto manage as well. Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, so far, super clear. I don't have any questions. I mean, it's super impressive, very self-intuitive, and easy to manage. So
Yeah.
I
I'll
like
just show
it
you.
so far.
Thank you. So I'll just show you one more thing. If you just look at my portfolio as it's growing, I mean, May, June, July, I think I was investing about 300 rupees. And after that, I started 600 rupees. And you can see how it is growing. And redeeming, it's very simple. You can, I mean, we don't encourage people to redeem because that's not the best strategy of investing here. But if they want to redeem, they can always come here, redeem, click on the redeem, and then, it shows you how many units you have, how much value you have. You can redeem by units of the value. And there are two things that we are uh, you know building up. One is, which will come in the next 1 week or two, is redeeming a bulk amount. For example, I have 74,000 and I want to redeem 10,000 from there, right? So this the system will tell me what is the best way redemption has to happen across the funds. So it will come up and say, based on your risk profile, based on funds that are in your portfolio, based on how the funds are performing, it's going to say redeem 3,000 from this fund, 2,000 from here, 5,000 from here. It's going to give you a strategy and you can just act upon it, right? So redeeming also is completely automated in a way that it comes up with the best recommendation for you. You can always change it if you want. The other thing is rebalancing is, now that you have, if you look at my portfolio here, if I go through gain and loss and I'll sort it by loss, right? You see that Nippon India, this is actually, I have about 300 rupees invested and it's actually down. And compared to, if I sort it here, my best performing fund is 8.8% it's giving me in the last 4 months. That's about, if you adjust it to a yearly basis, about 25% return on it. So I think basically the rebalancing is where customer can initiate or the system will initiate, saying that it's time to rebalance. It's going to prompt the user, why don't you take money from your bad performing and put it in new good performing funds. So that rebalancing is a huge thing. I mean, if you look at customers who don't know how to do that, and customers who are not savvy enough to understand the nuances of a mutual fund, how it is structured, and what the portfolio of a mutual fund is, and all those stuff, letting them prompting them to change, rebalancing it in a very automated fashion is a very important thing, because the whole idea about WealthUpp is not just automating stuff, but also ensuring that they get the maximum returns. I mean, we want to obviously beat the index funds by by miles, right? So if index fund is giving like 15%, we want to have them maybe about 5% extra on that. So the whole idea is to come up with this kind of algorithms which pick the right funds, help them redeem stuff in the right way, help them rebalance their portfolio right way. So all the thing is getting built. I mean, think of this way: you are getting a very expert investment advisor for free here, in addition to being all automated for you, right? Just with 100 rupees a day, right? That is something that's unbeatable. I mean, if you look at it.
Very cool, Ram. Very nicely done and super easy for anyone to onboard. And as you were saying, I mean, I was thinking about a presentation I did recently as well. I mean, India's digital revolution helps with this as well, right? Because I mean, in the last 10, 15 years, I mean, everybody has a cell phone or two, and
Yeah.
this is in their fingertips right now. They don't have to go to a bank. They don't have to sit down with somebody. I mean, they can take the help of somebody, even if it is somebody on the older side, not digitally savvy. They can just take a help of a family member to still get this done super easily, right?
Yeah.
So that adds to it as well. So Ram, I mean, what was the inspiration for doing this? Given, I mean, of course, you have the financial background, and so where did you get the spark to say, hey, I mean, there's a good place to invest time and money in?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there are two answers to this. One is, is it, I think, I believe in God, and I think there's a divinely inspiration that came to me. That's a long story. I won't go there. But there was that spark, that really spark came from a divinely message, which is a different time for that. But I think I looked at it as a path where I see that there's so much that people can benefit from an app like this. It has a social cause to it, right?
Mhm.
There is a reason why you see so much message that's coming from Indian government itself in making people aware of benefits of financial investment, and encouraging them to invest. And there is a reason for that, that they want people to be, part of this India's growth story. I think the best way to get that is to make sure that people can simplify the whole process of investing, even for somebody who's not educated, like my gardener who doesn't even know what stocks mean.
Yeah.
So how do you bring even from somebody from there to all the way to like a professor in a university is a customer of mine. So people, I mean, they don't have time. I mean, people, if a professor might be able to understand everything, but he or she doesn't have time to understand and sit down and put the time to see what is the best way to invest and what are the best mutual funds or stocks to invest in. And it's a game, right? And how do you play it rightly is, they might not be aware of these things. So how do you bring in financial inclusion of all these people into this, right, in a simple automated way, so that everybody benefits? There is a huge social cost to this if you look cost to this if you look at it that angle, right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, yeah. So Ram, before we wrap up, we want to ask you something that we ask all our founders and guests. I mean, what can the community do for you? I mean, are you looking for investors, or right now, are you just looking for people to download it, use it, give feedback to make it better? I mean, what do you want from the community?
I think mainly I want people to understand the app and be users of it, and download it and use it. And again, investment, we are not looking for investors at this point. I mean, this is something that we built in the last 2 years with our own money. Again, I was saying, this is, we have a service company, so obviously you have other means of supporting this app financially. So it's all built organically within the organization. And so at this point, we're not looking for investors, but obviously I'm open to somebody who's not just brings money, but also brings in a huge wealth of you know marketing something like this for Indian market, who understands how to take an app like this to the next level. So if somebody comes with that kind of vast knowledge and has inroads into insights into taking us to the next level, we'll be definitely, we would like to associate with somebody like that. Yeah, not just for the investing money, but I was saying like some partner who will be, who has that kind of
Take it
rich
take it to
back.
the next level. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks, Ram.
Yeah, no, this is a great effort around, like you mentioned, right? Getting that financial investment capabilities to the masses is a worthy cause, and I love like how you spark and shine when you mentioned that was the drive behind it. So we wish you good luck. This was great
Thank
knowing
you.
about WealthUpp, and we wish you all the best of luck with your future endeavors. And we'll wait to see where this goes and track the progress. So thank you for taking the time and talking to us
Thank you,
today.
guys. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Again, we appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, Ram. All the best.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Bye then.